Well, good evening, folks. Friday. Yeah, lovely. Best day of the week, isn't it, really? Um, Problem is, it's another day closer to Sunday, which means you've got to go to work tomorrow on a Sunday. Hmm. Uh, anyway, welcome aboard. And thanks for the kind and continued support. And keep those thumbs up coming and subscriptions. That'll be great. Um, and I do find them an interesting read, and it's nice to see how my videos do help people. Even if just one thing in my diatribes helps somebody, I consider it good karma. There we are. And I do have better things to do, but I prioritize this because I believe in sharing knowledge that's benefited me. In that light, I know that some of the oldies out there, in the sense that previous subscribers have returned, thank you, that they know my core beliefs for the most part. Having had something in excess of 3,000 subscribers, apparently, that was ditched. I'm having to start again, as you might know, but I thought rather than fret about all those lost videos and the lost knowledge, if you like, or the lost cynical experiences I relayed on my videos, I would in this video try to make a compendium of the salient points which were held within many of those videos, because there are certain videos I have favourites too, and I've got it already up here. And often people say to me, why do I bother doing rants? What's in it for me? Well, what's in it for me? Why do I do these rants? I find them cathartic because, well, misery, quite frankly, loves company, and if I get to feeling that you're miserable as well, I don't feel so miserable. Isn't that a strange human trait? Misery loves company. Oh, indeed. Let's share our misery and have a pity party. That's what it's about. And that's such is life. So a lot of those videos that were deleted straight out the blue, I do think I did have my favourites. And what I want to do is go along in this video and pick out maybe 5 minutes or so per topic that I wanted to cover in the verbose way in which I covered them in the past. I will be very succinct, and rather than getting explanations as to why I think this way and why I've become like I am, I hope that you'll think, this is the potted version. This is the I remember at school when you used to have to study Shakespeare, we had what they call guides. So if you're sitting an exam and you know eventually that maybe the books of English literature that you've studied may be brought up in the exam, and you get what they call a sort of pocket guide to interpreting that Merchant of Venice, which was one of my favourite Shakespeare plays. And it'll say, who the main characters were, what the purpose of the plot was, yada, yada, yada. Well, you can get all that, but you may as well read the book. But this is a potted history in about a third of the space, so it was quicker to read and gen up, if you like, and cram, ready for the exam. Always a little bit like cheating, really, but there we are. You should do your job properly in the first place, but many of us are rushed. So the idea would be to give you a potted video in a space of 5 to 10 minutes per topic, and I will try to keep it that way. So in the past then, I mean, from my memory, because I don't have a reference of such videos that I've done apart from what I know, is that one of the videos that seemed to interest a lot of people was For the Love of Dog. And that would be construed as the love of God with a typo. No, it really was called For the Love of Dog. Anyone who knows me knows that I am fanatical about dogs, or four-legged friends. And there's a lot of reasons that I have dogs in my life. I've been brought up with them most of my life, and I'm fascinated. They are such amazing creatures, and they are, I would hate to use the phrase man's best friend, but they are humans' best friend, But sadly, some countries like China and other countries tend to eat dogs. And I find that quite repellent. And they used to say that you can tell what a country's people are like by the way in which they treat animals and children. Well, children, yeah, fine. But animals are less defensive, are more exposed to the horrors, I think, in many ways, because children will eventually, should they survive, grow up and become adults. But dogs are dependent on us through all their life, for the most part. And they contribute such a lot to society. They are indeed our best friends. And what is it then that appeals to me about dogs is that, well, they say why does a dog have more friends than humans? And that's because they wag their tails more than they wag their tongues. And I think, wow, that is so true. Because ultimately human beings, that we crave affection, we crave to be adored, and it's nice if we see people who appear to be, on the face of it, happy to see us. But with humans, you never know if that's put on. But with animals, there's no debate, especially with your pet dogs that knows you. And they are non-judgmental. And yet they are so full of love. They exude it. I'm not talking about guard dogs that are trained from birth to be vicious and attack humans. We're talking about pet dogs. So dogs really are an absolutely special thing. I can't imagine my life without having a dog in it. And what I adore about dogs is the way that they trust us implicitly, providing we treat them well. They are so confident and trusting and loving. They pine in our absence. Doesn't that make you feel good? To know that they're missing us, because humans we want to feel needed. This is a modus operandi for our psyche, unless you're a loony. It's nice to know that something is dependent and loves us when they see us, their little tails go and their whole body swings around because they're so happy to see you. And they're great. They love playing. Yet equally, they love sitting next to you. They love contact with us. They lean against you. They like to be with you. They'll play fetch. They'll guard you. They'll defend you against other dogs, often to their death. And I think dogs have the ability to love humans. Of course they do. I know my dogs love me in many ways. They see me as is it me or my wife? I don't know who really the alpha male is out of the pair of us. But our dogs, I think, adore us equally. Probably adore my wife a little bit more because she's responsible for feeding them. But I do slip them the odd treat. Yes, a bit too many treats sometimes. I get told off for it because I'm a soft touch. They'll always know if they approach me and I've got something on my plate, they will get a bit. I'm a real softie when it comes to that. And even if I hide the fact from my wife, and she often catches me, don't give them tidbits. We feed our dogs 4 Cavalier King Charles and a Shih Tzu. I thought we'd have something different once and got a Shih Tzu. And she thinks that she's a Cavalier anyway, so she's part of the gang. But I adore dogs. And I prefer my dogs to many, 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 many people I meet. I would rather be in the company of my dogs than most people that I meet, quite frankly. Because dogs don't stab me in the back. They don't talk about me. They don't. All they want is love and attention and companionship. And they offer me companionship. It's a reciprocal sort of arrangement. And I take care of them and they take care of me in many ways. They emotionally take care of me and I physically take care of them. And I dare say they love being stroked, they love being petted, they love being held, And it is a privilege to have my dog fall asleep on me because it shows absolute trust. No more one eye open sort of thing. And for an animal to fall asleep with you, I think dogs are well capable of falling in love with their human keepers. Of course they are. They are capable of exuding it. And they are terrific parents to their offspring as well. And I think that dogs have a soul. That's the way I think, because anything that can show affection to the level that a dog can and a human can, I think they were followers, and we create this bond. So that's why I'm a real dog fanatic. I'm not a great fan of cats. I've had pet cats in my life as a child in our family, and we've even had one in my married life. It run off, quite frankly. I think it might have got stolen, but we thought it run off. But cats are rather selfish in comparison to dogs. They only have sex when they want to have it. Ask any tomcat. It's such a noise and commotion when they do have sex. Dogs are open at it all the time, unless you get the old scissors out for the blokes. But dogs are special. Cats are okay, but I believe cats are semi-tame. That's perhaps the best we can expect from them, unless that happens to be a ragdoll cat. And if I was going to have a cat, I would have a ragdoll, because these things are just fluffy bunnies that love a cuddle most of the time. And they just adore being cuddled and held and pampered. And they're indoor cats, from my understanding. My wife has a friend who breeds ragdoll cats, and apparently they're the cats to have if you like playing around and cuddling your cat. And they get on terribly well with dogs, do ragdoll cats. So that's that. So that is one video that I did called For the Love of Dog. And of course dogs can be service animals for humans as well. We have blind dogs, dogs for the hearing, dogs for this, dogs for that. We have dogs for everything, don't we? Guard dogs, you name it. Drug sniffers. Every smuggler's nightmare. And we have service dogs. We don't have service cats, do we? Not really. So dogs are very underrated in many societies, and they are abused in many countries. Yet I think it's a recognition of the type of country they are, depending on how they treat their dogs, cats and animals as a whole, as well as how they treat their children. Well, that's my opinion. The next video that I dealt with historically was a diet series. I actually see if I can find the 4 videos that I did. It must be on some spare drive. I'll upload them one day if I can find them. So watch this space if I do. But in a nutshell, my series of videos wanted to and tried to say there's no excuse from any human being out there to be obese or fat. Clinically obese or fat, same, it's just a matter of degree, isn't it? But sometimes, many times, we are the target of a conspiracy against us by the governments of the world and the eugenics program, because they want people to be sick and fat and slothsome, and they want us popping our clogs sooner rather than later. And the pharmaceutical industry would love it that people are obese, because obesity equals ill health, ultimately. And it's quite deliberate, the turning America into the fattest society of the world. Well, look what America does to the rest of the world. It drops bombs on people from great heights. It is responsible for 92 out of the 98 wars historically. It is always at war. It's always dropping bombs and killing people, having wars to keep the peace. It doesn't really make sense, obviously. But we have the last laugh because America is turning into the most unfit, uneducated, obscene country, the most hypocritical country on the planet. It's even worse than China. It sends more of its population to prison than any other country in the world. Well, naturally, because the lawyers are on the take. The angels are on the take. I keep saying that. I think it's a great saying. They are all these do-gooders, these lawyers. You know, you've got to keep all the prisons are privately owned. How about that then? The penitentiaries, and we have private prisons, are all funded by commerce. Well, you don't. It's like a hotel. You don't want an empty prison room, a cell, do you? You know, it's not earning any money for the investors. Of course, you keep the prison population high, and fat and unfit as hell. And the video that I talked about historically is how has that happened so easily and so fast? Because if you look in the 1940s, even in Britain, well, obviously we didn't have vegetable oils, did we? We used to use animal fats to cook our food, and we used to use butter, didn't we? And margarine wasn't even in circulation. So we used to have our fat still on our bacon. We used to basically stay away from vegetable oils and just cook with and do our chips or fries, if you like, and cook them in lard, which is animal fat. And it used to be called dripping as well. Animal fats, because we are fundamentally designed, our chemistry is designed to break down animal fats. But we were never designed to break down trans fats, which are in margarine and vegetable oils. And why that's important, of course, is that trans fats create in our blood free radicals. And free radicals are like little bullets going around our bloodstream. They shoot off, and whenever that is converted into energy, it creates free radicals. And these little bullets hit the side walls of our microarteries and arteries, microvessels and arteries, and they scar them and make them bleed, and they create scabs and fat pockets. And they flake off and cause myocardial infarctions and strokes. It's as simple as that. And if you look at the American population in the 50s, they were slim, fighting. Oh man, they were great. Remember Elvis when he was 25? Oh yeah. Remember Elvis just before he died? Oh yeah. See the difference? You see, what happened in the middle is that Americans used to fry their fries and burgers and everything else fried. All their meats, all their food, all their cooking used animal fats, butter, milk, full fat milk, raw milk, straight out the cow. The burgers were fried full solid meat, no additives, solid ground up meat, fried in animal fats. I'm salivating already. And then, what did the food industry do? They discovered hemp oil. And hemp, you can grow 4 crops of hemp a year in a field. It flowers beautifully, very quickly. And it's what you do, they discovered if you press a hemp seed, this oil comes out, and that's hemp oil, and that's fantastic. And you can synthesize that and process it, and you can consume it, and you can add flavorings, and you can make a white sludge and add yellow to it and whip it up and make it look like butter, and put clotting agents in it to make sure it keeps its form, and so when you cook it, it melts just like butter, and you can flavour it to taste just like butter. But it really is a smiling assassin, is vegetable oils. And it went from McDonald's changed from cooking their burgers and their fries in vegetable oils when the men were fighting fit and the women were slim and beautiful, to overnight change to vegetable oils because they could make $6 profit instead of $2 profit, or 6 cents profit on 2 cents profit. But so it reduced the cost of producing and cooking the burgers. And look what happened. They ballooned in size. Cakes. Yeah. There was no longer a need for butter when you're doing the cakes and the hamburgers and the donuts and donut rings and the biscuits. It took over the food industry. It did vegetable oil because it's apparently better for you, which it isn't. Animal fats is the way forward, with butter and lard, okay, and raw milk and full fat milk. Do not fall for the trick of having skimmed milk or semi-skimmed milk, folks, because the chemical process is horrendous. There's more damage done to your body by drinking semi-skimmed and skimmed than there is in the full fat milk. The full fat milk never hurt anybody, no how, no way. Yet we are convinced, aren't we? Convinced. But look what being convinced has done to us and the Americans. We have become a bloated nation, second only in Europe now, next to America. Britain is turning into a nation of fatties too, because it's cheap. The amount of crisps, or as they call them, fries, and chips, they call them. In UK they call them crisps, in America they call them chips. In the UK we call them crisps. And they consume massive amounts of vegetable oils and trans fats. Make your own and cook your own. Cook your fish and chips in animal fats, folks, and get every vegetable oil out of your kitchen. If you do like vegetable oil in the sense that you like olive oil, that is absolutely fine. Olive oil, providing you don't heat it up, because heating olive oil will denature it. And then when you consume that denatured olive oil, you will be flooded with trans fats. There we are. So do not cook vegetable oils, do not heat them up. Avocados are very, very good for you. Okay, there are certain foods, once you heat them, you denature them, and then you create trans fats, because they're fundamentally vegetables. So there we are. So that was the idea. So the idea in that particular video was, you know, you become what you eat most of the time. And look what they're eating, and look what they become. And how do you want to lose weight without even going on a diet? You just convert your household from a vegetable oil consumer to an animal fat consumer. It sounds totally alien, doesn't it, really? Well, why don't you give it a go? You don't even have to go on a diet. The only thing you have to lose is the illusion that vegetable oils are okay to cook with, and they're not. They're extremely dangerous, and dangerous for your health in so many ways. Our nation's arteries are clogged up with the crap and the fat from vegetable oil. There we are. And the damage to our arteries. It is not the cholesterol that will kill you, folks. It is not the high cholesterol or low cholesterol. It's not the high cholesterol that will kill you. If you have a high cholesterol, it's because your body is telling your body, your system is saying you need it. Everybody has different levels of cholesterol. There are those of us who go around with a very high level of cholesterol, and well, there's four types of cholesterol, quite frankly. There's 2 highs and 2 lows. And everyone's obsessed with keeping the high cholesterol down. Oh God, my cholesterol's too high. Oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm going to have a stroke. No. Because if you have Nobody's going to die from a high cholesterol. No one. No one has historically died of having a high cholesterol. They've died of a stroke. That's got nothing to do with cholesterol. Nothing. All cholesterol is the viscosity of your blood, not the content of it. The thinner the blood, the better. Well, that's okay then. But if our body decides that it has to have a slightly thicker grade of oil floating around its circuit, just like cars, so be it. Because your body knows best. Your body knows best. Not the pharmaceutical industry. So the idea would be then, it doesn't matter what your cholesterol level is, stop fretting about it. It matters what your low level of cholesterol is, because people have died for having too low a cholesterol. But the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry don't care, as long as they get you on a statin. And if you're taking statins, folks, for Christ's sake, stop. And throw them in the bin where they belong. And say to your GP, you know nothing. Because if your GP is trying to get you on a statin, they're trying to kill you. And they just don't know that. They think they're being helpful, bless them. But GPs know less than 1% of the actual research facts. If they only truly took the time to learn about the statins, the great cholesterol con of the century, they wouldn't prescribe them. But the financial incentive to prescribe them is very high for GP practice and medicine as a whole. And you are going to pay the price. Stop your statins immediately. There we are. So weight has got nothing to do with cholesterol. Just because you're fat or thin is nothing to do with cholesterol. Nothing. You can have slim people who have a very high cholesterol. I happen to be one of them. And you can have fat people who have an absolutely perfect score in the eyes of the medical industry. Well, you can have people also who are fat and very healthy. Very fit and very healthy. They just happen to be fat because that's the way they roll, excuse the pun. But how do you lose the weight then? Without having to go on a diet. You just change your consumption habits of what you put in your mouth. I would recommend thoroughly you throw every vegetable oil out of your kitchen, except your beloved olive oil. But you dip your bread in uncooked, pure olive oil. Okay? Don't cook things in vegetable oils. If you consume vegetable oils, make sure they are uncooked to avoid the trans fats. But they will damage you if you cook them. Get yourself back onto butter and cook your chips, your fries, or whatever you want to call them, in animal fat. That was the crux of my diet loss program. You won't need Weight Watchers. You won't need to embarrass yourself getting weighed every week, because you'll see it coming off as you have to get into smaller clothes. Don't tell anyone if you want to lose weight. Just get on with it. And they'll notice soon enough. And so will you. And the weight will fall off you. One of the other videos I did then was diabetes. Now, diabetes is a modern disease, quite frankly. Again, people put it down to being it's a fat person disease. It's not a fat person's disease at all. Slim people are quite diabetic too. But type 2 diabetes is more prevalent in people who are putting on the pounds. And the two are not inextricably linked. You can have fat people who are diabetic. It's a natural progression, but they're not fat because they're diabetic. Because they're diabetic can have an influence on your fat retention. That's the difference. Because obviously the diabetes, it can be two classifications. But class 2 diabetes is on the rise exponentially now. And yet class 1 remains pretty constant. And will soon be overtaken by class 2. Class 1 diabetes is where your body is incapable of manufacturing its own insulin. And insulin is a chemical that is produced by the body, and every time you consume something like sugar, it tells the liver, there's some sugar coming, give us the enzyme to break the sugar up to make energy. And sometimes there's too much sugar consumed. Okay. And the insulin is insufficient or non-existent. And the liver forgets and just lets the body make this energy. And if they're got no use for the energy, they'll store it in the form of fat. And that fat will be put around your heart. It'll be put into your in your arms and legs and chest and your adipose tissue, your fat. And then it'll be packed around the liver. This yellow fat is quite gloopy. And it'll go packed around your heart, and your liver will eventually become bigger and bigger and bigger because it's, oh God, you know, what do I do with this stuff? He's still eating, or she's still eating this crap. It's producing energy, but it's got too much energy. And the body won't waste it. It hates waste. So it stores this energy in the form of fat, and if it needs it, it'll break down the fat and create energy. You see, it's a little storehouse. It's a good housekeeper, the liver. So in order to help us break down and get the energy we need from the fat that is stored, or break the fat down, we have to stab ourselves with insulin, which is a trigger. And it is our pancreas that stores, manufactures insulin, which is the chemical trigger that goes down to the liver to tell the liver to, hey, give us a hand to break this down. It's a chemical trigger, that's all. And without it, you will die. You'll go into a coma and you will die. Because there was such a chemistry imbalance, your body won't be able to cope. You'll be poisoned. Because sugar, folks, sugar is snow white and deadly. We have 2 epidemics going on in this world at the moment. Well, so it's really 3. Vegetable oil is an epidemic. Sugar. Oh, sugar consumption is huge. That's another epidemic. Okay. And obviously the other epidemic, well, you can take your choice. Because we're people of excess, aren't we? But the 2 biggies. The other one is salt. Well, like everything else, if you consume too much salt, all it'll do is make you, well, it certainly could put your blood pressure up a little, and you'll feel thirsty a lot. And too much salt can actually interfere with your blood chemistry and affect your heart. And it'll put your blood pressure up. But too little salt is equally dangerous. So a pinch of salt on most meals will be absolutely fine. I have seen people plough it on. Well, all things in moderation, isn't it? So that was the video I did about the importance of diabetes, and if we could eradicate type 2 diabetes almost overnight if we stopped the production and consumption of sugar or sugar-produced food. If we got sugar out of the human diet, it wouldn't be too soon. But I'm not a hypocrite. I do like a little sprinkling of certain sugars. I cannot consume coffee without at least half a sugar. But tea, I don't have sugar, and I don't put sugar on my cereal either. And it tastes sweet enough. So that was another video I did. So I've been at it now for 35 minutes. We'll call it a day. But I'll do these little précis, little quick videos. I'll do a long video full of little quick ones or salient points. I think people will find it more useful and more interesting and varied. But in summary, we can lose weight if we want to. We just convert to animal fats. You don't have to do a diet. You just change what you eat. Okay, you can eat as much animal fats as you like, providing you exercise. Well, most people do exercise. All things in moderation has to be the key. If you want a pet for life and a friend for life, get yourself a dog or a ragdoll cat. But a dog is special. Four-legged friend indeed. Avoid the countries that eat dogs, because you'll always tell a country if it's cultured or not, how it treats its animals, particularly how it treats its dogs. And if the country eat dog, well, best avoided. Yes, you know these people. It's inhumane to eat dogs and kill them and round them up and slaughter them. Because all the dog wants is love, affection, warmth. It craves everything you crave. They are just as, well, almost just as human as us. So we need pets in our life that have the ability to love us back. Make a change. And more often than not, I prefer the company of dogs than I do of most people I meet. That's such true. Such a truism. And I'm not antisocial. So, inoculations finally. Whether you inoculate your pets once they've had a couple of essential injections, you'll find that your vet will hound you, excuse the pun, into getting your boosters. A greatest con of the 20th century are vaccine boosters. You don't need them. Once bitten, forever smitten with a drug. Okay, so if your vet's trying to send you in the post, have your dog's vaccine. Oh, your dog needs boosters. No, it doesn't. You can do a simple test called a titer test to see, an antibody test, to see if your dog is vulnerable. And if they've had the injection once, the chances are they will never need another. All this booster stuff is just a way of the vets making an income from you. Get savvy if you're going to deal with vets, because they are absolute, for the most part, businessmen, con men, women. 75% of a veterinary income for a vet is from the use of pharmaceuticals. 20% is the surgery, and 10%, well, is the consultation. Now you know why vets are pushing and pushing and pushing. And they make you pay up front. And I think most vets are very mercenary. They won't put a scalpel to your injured pet until you've coughed up the money first. Such heartless bastards, many of them claiming to love animals. Well, let me see the colour of your money before I help you. Well, what a mentality. So vaccine boosters are wholly, wholly unnecessary. Once you've been had once with a vaccine, your body has a memory. It has the ability then to make its own protection. It doesn't need boosting. So all things in moderation. Go on to animal fats. Get yourself a pet dog if you want great company for life, as long as you can. Sadly, they don't live for us. I would love it if my dogs outlived me, because I wouldn't have the upset of them dying on me. But sadly, they do. And I can eat as much as I like. I struggle to put weight on. But if I went to McDonald's every day and ate trans fats, I'd soon put the weight on. Please, folks, avoid fast food. Avoid fast foods because they're all cooking in trans fats. You won't need to go to Weight Watchers anymore and get yourself embarrassed. Just quietly do it yourself and keep your own counsel if you want to lose the pounds. Get yourself on a dairy diet like there's no tomorrow. Catch you tomorrow, and we'll perhaps do a précis of other videos when I can remember what it is that I did a few months back. Toodle bib, love you all. Be nice.